So I've just been digging into the new, recently announced um, study of uh, the pyramids at Giza. And there's a lot of interesting stuff. The big thing that I'm seeing talked about the most is the ridiculous gargantuan structure underneath of the Khafre pyramid. I don't know if such a structure exists underneath of the Khufu pyramid, but the Khufu pyramid contains an intensely ornate system of structures within, and then a pyramid built around it. That the shape of the pyramid itself is actually eight-sided with a slight inward curve or bend at the center of each of the four sides. So instead of being like this, they're actually a little bit like that. And that it's visible. There's a slight crease that they're actually four-pointed stars. Inside the Great Pyramid appears to be a series of passages, ramps, water channels. There were previously copper wires before their head Egyptologist, who always told everyone that everything was stolen by grave robbers. He had been stealing stuff. And that the layout and everything of that pyramid appears to actually seem to be something acoustic, that the composition of the granite and the dolomite inside the pyramid is such that vibrations like earthquakes or whatever could cause a piezoelectric effect. And the outside of the pyramid was polished limestone. Limestone is, I believe, an alkaline. I could be wrong, but I believe it's an alkaline substance. It is a base. And if they had an acoustic chamber with controllable water level of some sort that could change the pitch, they could fine tune an innate vibration caused by, say, the wind across the little top or whatever, or wherever, that this could cause enough vibration within the pyramid to excite the granite. This is speculation now on my part, but you could excite that granite piezoelectrically. At the very tip, what they call the pyramidion would have been made of gold, which is an electrically conductive metal. It is the most electrically conductive metal, with copper wires running throughout the thing. I'm not saying it was an electrical generator. What I'm saying is that it was possible that they had a way between the movement of water, or maybe somebody tapping the right spot, that they'd found a geometric sweet spot to make the whole thing ring, that by making this pyramid vibrate in such a way and controlling the pitch and adjusting it, that they could fine tune maybe a static charge. If you've got enough electrical buildup, I believe you can cause the water in the passages beneath to become acidic. If you have acidic water and basic outer layer in that large of a structure with piezoelectric and electrically conductive rocks within, and you vibrate it so that those excite, I believe you could either acidify the water, which would be a source of chemical usefulness in a lot of places, not to mention things like a Baghdad battery, if there's any truth to those. But the idea that you could create some type of acidic compound for use by using an electrolysis process, or you could use it to electrolyze things into gold. Who knows? Maybe you couldn't just gold plate anything that touched the water. I don't know. But there are legitimate chemical and physical processes related to all of the specific details of how this thing appears to have been built. That my speculation is that they either were using it for electrolysis or to generate large amounts of acids for whatever reason, if they were etching or who knows. what uses you could have for acidic water there. I'm sure there's lots of things, or that it would become something else. It could become sulfuric. There's a lot of different chemical things, and I'm certainly no chemist, but I'm just saying that there's definitely something to that. The other thing is you have that's the Khufu pyramid, and they have not said whether, that I'm aware of yet, whether there is any superstructure or megastructure underneath of that pyramid. But what there is under the Khafre pyramid, which is the larger of the two side pyramids, that one has 5 of the so-called king's chambers in a geometrical, like a dice pattern of 5. And they're slightly above where the so-called king's chamber would be. Now, the descriptions of these things is that they are some kind of weight alleviating structures for the center of the pyramid. I don't know if an earthquake would cause them to crack, causing the thing to collapse into a certain way or something. But that one, if it had copper wire in it and or some type of resonating chamber, it might have had some other interesting uses. But if there was groundwater or underneath like a subterranean river, because they're saying that there's a fairly large 2-kilometer, almost maybe they're speculating it could be maybe some type of, underground city type layout. Whether it's all filled in or not has yet to be determined or exposed publicly. That they have these tubular structures underneath the Khafre pyramid of a 4x2 layout, that they are these huge, seemingly hollow, cylindrical, 648 meter deep wells or whatever, with what appear to be walkways spiraling around them. They look like the secondary coils on Tesla coils and transformers. And then that the cubic, and they said these are 80 meters on a side, and that there's 2 of them side by side, that 4 come out of each. And each of these 4 has a spiral thing running up it. In my head, it's just a diagram of freaking Tesla coils. It's some kind of a power transformer. Only this would either have been activated by the passage of groundwater, something that may have been completely different before the desert, because what if they were using it to magnetically levitate well water? Wouldn't that be wild? But the Nile River migrated across Africa over time. Nobody really knows exactly how old the pyramids are, or if they do, they're not saying publicly and truthfully. The Sphinx is way, way, way older. But what they've got is something that goes down over 1,800 feet to these boxes, which are then 240 feet on a side. So basically, that's 2,040 feet at least below ground that there are structures built under this pyramid, the Khafre pyramid. I'm not sure the Egyptians themselves, from what we know about them, were capable of that, which means it would have had to have predated. It would have had to have been something from, say, before a 12,000 year ago mega disaster that some people think may or may not have happened. But this would kind of lend some credence to that, in the idea that, if you had a pyramid that was electrically conductive and covered in a gold pyramidion above what looks like Tesla coils, that could be something that, whether it's suggestion of it being a transmitter, I don't know. But what I think it could be is something that would resemble transmission, but say if there was a major pole flip or magnetic excursion where the north and south pole are no longer definite and very solidly creating a field like this, what would happen is you'd have a whole bunch of this crazy stuff going on. And some places you would end up having what could basically be like cloud to ground lightning strikes, but they're coming from the magnetic field shells as they bubble and move. They reach a certain point And you're talking about plasma streams the size of a city, a mile across or bigger. They're coming straight down out the freaking sky. And what if there was a place that would be able to, in some capacity, act as a lightning rod? That's my supposition. What if? And I have no idea if there are any results regarding that little pyramid off to the side. I don't even know what it's called because I'm not that up on this stuff. I'm aware of some connections to pi through the Great Pyramid's dimensions. I think that the slight change in the outer dimensions, based on this understanding of the slight eight-sidedness that it has, warrants some kind of a reinvestigation into the ratios of the proportions beyond just the four corners. I think there's a lot more mathematically that can be extrapolated from this information, especially as the technology improves to where more precise tomography can be done. There is something to learn from inside of that, and not just a lesson of, there might be something to do with, maybe a Pandora's box was opened back in the day or something, but I think that whatever that was there to harness or protect against the cloud to ground plasma, or the L shell to ground plasma during a magnetic excursion. The fact that they said the people that have been gatekeeping information about the pyramids officially via the country Egypt have not been truthful. They are, if you just watch them talk, you listen to what they say, how they address people, how they deal with skeptics and critics, usually involves banning people from ever visiting, from ever exploring, from ever getting a chance to look at. We are the ones. And I don't think they were telling the truth. So if you've been seeing this thing going around about some stuff with the pyramids, yes, there is a real discovery. An actual paper has come out showing these insane structures inside and below. And there's more to come. There's more information yet to be revealed. Like the paper has a second part. Crazy stuff, wild stuff. It's real. So, in and amongst all the other crazy stuff, we may get some kind of interesting revolutionary knowledge about the history of our planet that causes some of the shenanigans and idiotic bullshit that life is throwing at all of us right now to subside or change its tune somehow. Or we can pray that it does. Thank you for your time.